If you're a portrait painter and you've been looking to get that beautiful glowing light effect in your paintings, but at the end they always wind up a little bit dim and muddy looking, chances are you're not keying your painting the right way. The good news is, seeing values well is a skill that you can build rather than a talent that you're born with. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it the right way, and if you like this lesson, there's so many more just like it on my Patreon page. If you follow the link in the description of this video, it'll take you right there. For a very small fee, you're going to get access to tons and tons and tons of highly edited, professional, educational content.
There's ways to study value, and then there's ways to study value in oil paint. Obviously, oil paint is particular in the sense that it's kind of procedural, and by that I mean you should work with it a certain way. You should have kind of steps or stages if you're going to work in oil paint. For starters, when you're doing an oil painting study, I always think it's quite useful to start out with using like a mid-tone, rather than starting out by using something really, really dark. That way, once you've filled up your canvas, you have a lot of range to explore, both on the dark and light side of the value scale. The goal here, and I want to be crystal clear about this, when you're blocking in a painting, is to get to the start as fast as possible, meaning I don't think really that your painting starts until the whole subject that you intend to work on is blocked in. So if you wanted to talk about right now, like seeing these values, these actually are not values that you necessarily see so well, except for the fact that we have taken this and more or less posterized it, which is to say that we've created a notan where we have one value, two values, and maybe three values. Those aren't values that you necessarily like look at the subject and find. You just search for what the biggest contrasting shapes are if they were as simplified as possible, and then paint those. Later we're going to get into how to actually see values better, which is to say, what does it look like? How do you determine the lightest light versus the darkest dark? All right, so I'm blocking the light shape on the right side of the face. I'm using a little bit of opacity there because I want it to feel slightly different from the shadow. However, at this moment, it should be still like really generic, because once again, I haven't keyed this painting yet. And for those of you that don't know what keying means, when you key something, it means that you're adding your darkest dark and your lightest light, and you're starting to talk about values that will more or less represent what that subject looks like in the end. So when you start getting into your major highlights, you start getting into your darkest darks, then we're talking about keying the painting. I view the keying of a painting as a process. It's something with stages that you go through, and if you use those stages well, I think you stand a good chance to make some progress and some good observations. With that being said, I've not yet touched the black on my palette. That means this has not been keyed. I've used a little bit of the white just as an example of maybe how dark the mid-tone that I choose is, but definitely I haven't keyed the lightest lights in this painting. We have one kind of posterized value in the lights, we have more or less one posterized value in the darks, and then maybe a third value that represents the nominal darkest dark at this point. When we key the painting, what happens is we're able to see the lightest light and the darkest dark, and in doing so, we can find what every value in between is. And when I say, this is how you're going to learn to see values better, this is the part that I'm talking about. Starting to actually observe and say, where is the lightest light? So I think the lightest light is more or less here on the forehead. I see that there are also very light values on the edge of the nose, that intermediate plane in between the top and side plane of the nose. That seems really bright to me. In fact, if you're looking at this, let's talk about something that happens all the time. I think people will look at the nose and see, oh, those highlights, they're much brighter than the ones on the forehead. This is not the case. What you're seeing there is a darker local value around the highlights. The highlight itself, the specular highlight on the forehead and on the nose, I would say are more or less the same value. So don't get fooled by darker local values around your highlights in thinking that they're going to be the lightest light. So really, again, it's about the context, it's about all the other values in the painting conspiring together. The darkest dark, I could choose this in a number of places. I think that choosing it more or less right next to this shadow is pretty convenient, in the sense that I'll have this value related to that one, that related to this related to that. I'll have this sort of staircase of values that I can go through to make sure each one is calibrated to achieve the right light effect. Now, The simplest tool in the world is right here. When you're looking at your subject and you're trying to analyze value relationships, squint down and watch how two values that are quite similar to each other turn into one value when you squint. So here we're seeing two separate values with our eyes wide open. Now we're squinting way down and those two bond together into one unit. That's usually what we're looking for when we look at our source image. We squint down and look at the source image. We see that the entirety of the forehead more or less kind of holds together as one light value. Now we have here a value that stands out from the value around it. So what I need to do is raise the value in the areas immediately surrounding that highlight to get the same squinting impression. By the way, let's just put it out there and say this. The white of the eye, inside the shadow, don't paint it white. This is what happens when you know you're not keying things right. You wind up painting them. What we're talking about when we do that is it's kind of a symbolic representation of the eye. It's like kind of in our imagination. When we think of the eye, we think, oh, the white, we literally call it the white of the eye, right? And that is in no way a reflection of its performance visually. I mean, almost never is the white of the eye like this super white thing. I think that now we're gonna start to key some of these halftones here down. Why? Why are we gonna do that, right? Looking at the value here versus the brightness of the forehead, I can see that this is a very dark value. But wait, let's then look at this halftone and say this is lighter than this one. So now I'm really starting to key something. I'm looking at this not as an isolated value, but as a value in the context of other values. So I think that two things are true here. First thing is, I think I can key down or darken some of the values on this left-hand side. And I think I can then darken a little bit more some of the values on this right-hand side. Now, the worst case scenario would be that I just try and paint a value here without considering the context of all the other values in the painting. That's what you don't want to do. That's when you start getting values that don't make sense. That's when your painting starts to look flat and dull and the light effect ceases to work. I think the relationship in between this cheek and that cheek is pretty good, right? I think that the values here are pretty good in relationship to these light ones. But now I need to massage that value relationship in between these two. This is where conventionally a student might start blending. But what I'm going to try and do is choose a value that sits in between these two. And that should make it a lot easier for me to blend. Now, like I said, there is blending. Blending's good. We all like to blend. But blending with the right values is the most effective way to do that job. So you see now that I'm putting this value in between the two, and it almost looks like the blending is happening on its own, just by choosing values that are close enough together. Now, look at that edge, right? A minute ago, it was this stark contrast. Now we have this beautiful kind of blended edge. That is the power of using the right values. Right, now we're darker down here, lighter up here. Look at these value contrasts. That is working pretty well. My meta message about keying, it is about a choice. The relationships that you choose in between the values are what's really important, more so than, say, what just the individual values themselves actually are, right? So when we started this out, I said that all the values in the painting rely on all the other values, right? And that I didn't want to key the lightest light and the darkest dark immediately because I wanted to fill up the canvas to get that context starting to work. So if you go back to the beginning of this video and you find this initial block in, it was a mid-tone about like this, that I left space to get to the lightest light from. And the same thing with all of this dark area through here. It was blocked in a pretty light mid-tone really, and then painted down. The instructive part of this is, what you block in as in oil paint does not necessarily guarantee what you have to stay as, right? Like you can block in relatively light and eventually paint that into like a good, full, rich darkness. That's the procedural part of like alla prima painting, which is what this is, that I think is really, really great. Start in the middle, work your way out to those edges of the value scale. You wanna know this? Everybody does this wrong at the start. They will take a light area in a dark area and paint it too bright because they do not compare it to the lightest light. They only compare it locally. So if your painting is made out of a bunch of different local observations, it will guarantee that the whole thing doesn't hold together. So you don't want to make that mistake, right? Key the darkest dark, key the lightest light after you block in the painting, and then paint everything else in relationship to those two reference points.
So let's review the key points from this lesson on how to see values and paint them the right way. First of all, it's partly process driven. You want to start with your midtones and work your way out to the darkest darks and the lightest lights. Once you key those properly, your painting will be ready for you to make accurate comparisons between the darkest dark, the lightest light, and all of the other halftones in the entire composition. Stick to that method and you'll be able to reproduce the glowing light effect that you find in your source images or the models that you're working from life. Thank you so much for spending time with me and watching this video. If you found the content here useful, please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and if you really want to learn a lot about portrait painting and drawing, you can follow the link in the description of this video to go to my Patreon page, where for just $10 a month, you get tons and tons of really fantastic content. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video.